Hello and welcome in to Keyworth Stadium for tonight's USL W League Central Conference Semifinal. My name is Jarrett Mackey alongside Sean Grogan. Sean, the two semifinals today, obviously Indy 11 and Minnesota Aurora getting things started right now. Sort of a rivalry that we've seen developing over the years. Their third consecutive playoff game against each other. It doesn't get any more real than that.
Oh, there is no question that we are about to watch a battle of two top teams in the league tonight. 2022 they met in the playoffs, and that was Minnesota Aurora who took that game 2-1, made it all the way to the national final. And then last year, Indy 11 in the conference final, 1-0. They were the national champions.
So it's a pretty good omen that if you beat this team, there's a good chance based on the last 2 years you're going to make it to the national final. So these two teams, you know, it's funny the seeding of the W League works, the geography of it is. There's two good teams that rise up. You're going to see each other in the postseason. The game is going to become that more serious every time you face off.
It does seem like the teams from the West Division have been able to make that very strong playoffs, year after year.
Now it's time to face with this.
So the teams now in their huddles, ready to go. Of course, Indy 11, the closer of the two opponents. You mentioned last year's, national finalists. They ended up winning that game at home at, Michael A. Carroll Stadium, where the Indy 11 USL Championship side played. So to come into here, Keyworth Stadium, having to be on the road, having to make things a little bit difficult, it'll be tough for these two squads that have to travel on a holiday weekend.
It is a little difficult to travel, but both teams were able to bring pretty full squads tonight, missing one player here, one player there, but availability not really a massive factor in this game like it has been throughout the regular season, as we've seen.
Funny thing. So the sides out of their huddles now. Sort of a rainy day here at Keyworth a little bit. I don't think the weather's going to play a factor, beyond the fact that it might be a little damper than what we're familiar with here. But still, a great day for soccer. No weather in the area of note that can derail this game as of now. No. So excited to see a really fiery match between two really good sides.
It was a light drizzle earlier, but I think it's stopped now.
And they're going to break their huddles and get ready. Of course, Minnesota, they have the crowd, they have the attendance, they have the branding, one of the premier teams in this USLW league. And then Indy 11, their tie into the league with the USL Championship squad. Again, two titans of the USLW league going head-to-head here at Keyworth. It's going to be a great battle that we get to see and bring to you here from the press box at Keyworth Stadium.
Nice to see a number of traveling fans here today also. A bunch of Minnesota Aurora kits right underneath the press box right now.
Of course, Taylor Kane taking her goal down there at the sweet end of the pitch, in front of the Fago banner. She'll be getting ready to go, as well as both squads here this afternoon, waiting for the referee now to get things underway at Keyworth Stadium in today's USL Central Conference semifinal. And we are off here at Keyworth. Referee gets things underway at Indy 11. Immediately get the ball to the center backs. And one of the key traits that they've sort of adopted this year is playing out of the back, progressing the ball. We talk about it on almost all of our broadcasts, Sean, because the traits that EFC plays the same way. It's become really fashionable in today's game to do that.
It's absolutely essential to be able to control the ball. If you have the ball, the opponent doesn't, and they cannot score if they do not have the ball.
Pretty simple. It's that simple. Yeah, it's literally that simple. Yeah. So that's yeah. It doesn't get simpler than that, folks. As Indy 11 win the ball back, and we mentioned how much of a rivalry this game is developing into because of how big the games are. I think we're going to see this one get chippy, not only because it's a playoff game, it's win or go home, but because of the history these two sides have.
And the two games they have played previously have been one-goal games, so very even competition, very strong opponents.
And that one's fed into the box, but cleared away at the last second. Indy 11 operating now from outside of the area. A good job to win a throw-in, I believe. It's going to stay with Indy 11 on this side of the pitch. We talked to Dave Dwahey training earlier in the week, the Detroit City FC head coach, but he was echoing, the advantages of hosting, not having to travel on a holiday weekend. But both of these teams, they've had to make the trip. Indy, of course, a little bit shorter of a trip over than Minnesota, so we'll see if that gives them the edge. But still, incredibly strong squads for both of these teams.
It does seem like they were able to bring the large portion of the players that were responsible for getting them to this point in the season. One or two players missing out, but for the most part, we are seeing full-strength rosters on both sides.
A good battle here in the midfield so far. Indy 11's going to get onto it. The ball's going to be slipped through into the area. That one's going to be a right-footed shot across goal, but it's just at the last second. Taylor Kane would have been a little bit concerned there, but it was a great run by Addison Chester into the Minnesota penalty area. So for maybe a split second there, Taylor Kane would have been a little bit concerned with what she was seeing. We'll take a look at it again here. It was sort of a missed kick and a great job there by Chester to start the move in the first place, and then slipped in at the last second by Natalie Mitchell, then just couldn't get the near post was too near for that to be a real concrete chance.
Does look like it will be a corner kick for Indy. Must have taken a tip out of bounds.
I think that was great defending at the near post. Taylor Kane, I don't think it got to her, but it was a good job nonetheless to put that one out. So we'll see the in-swinger come into the area. That one's a high corner. That's going to be left up forward at the near post. It's put in and finished by Carson Cherry. And Indy 11 takes a 1-0 lead here early on at Keyworth Stadium.
Well, that's pretty much a perfect start for Indy 11. Set that up with a nice attacking play. She was able to burst through the defense, win that corner, and then they convert on the set piece. We can take a look at it here.
Just a great header there by Carson Cherry. She was unmarked. It was a free header. A great play there by Indy 11 to make sure that she was unmarked and had the space to get that header off. And, you know, 3 minutes into this game, it's 1-0 Indy 11. So 3.5 minutes in, Indy 11 already able to, you know, sort of play from the lead. Now it's Minnesota that's going to have to come out, and they're going to have to ask the questions of, you know, how do we get back in this game and how do we find an equalizer to then try to push on and go ahead and get the winner.
If any team is capable of coming back in this game, it is Minnesota. They scored a ton of goals this year. Their last game, they scored 14 of them. So they have the goals in the squad. Obviously a non-ideal start for them, but they do have the possibility, the quality to make something of this.
So Indy 11 now again playing out of the back, and what's crazy is we mentioned how urgently they're going to have to come out, they're going to have to play, especially on the road, traveling and all that. But now that they're leading this early on, they can kind of not sit back, obviously, and rest a little bit, but they can operate from a position of power to where the game has to come to them through Minnesota. Indy can kind of play their game and try to hold on to this lead for as long as possible and maybe see themselves through to the final on Sunday.
This is not a position that Minnesota is used to being in. They, in the last 3 regular seasons, they are 33-3-0. They have not lost a regular season game in 3 years. Really incredible record. But they're going to have to find something else in their toolbox today.
Oh, 3-1, check 1. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Oh, and I gotta put this for IC. I'm so sorry.
When you are live for now.
So it's a great header by Cherry. Really just, it's such a cliche to say right off the training pitch, but really it did seem like that was a designed, a screen by a lot of the defenders in the box and then setting it up. But then again, Indy 11 putting the pressure on. Do they win another corner here? Looks like they might. It was a great job there, a good press there by Natalie Mitchell to come from essentially the midfield on a full sprint to put the Minnesota Aurora defender off and play it out for a corner. So look, Indy 11 here looking to double their advantage. We've seen them sort of 1 for 1 from corners so far, so 2 for 2 wouldn't be a bad shout. I would be shocked if we saw anything different than what we saw already work once already. We saw Cherry again in there once again in the mixer, trying to throw some elbows and get some space. Good job step inside there by Derry. It's going to go out for a goal kick though. So early on, Minnesota kind of on the back foot here.
32, live. 3-1.
Of course, this is the first of 2 Central Conference semifinals today from Keyworth Stadium. Detroit City FC and Riverlight FC competing in the second one at about 7 o'clock. So if you're on YouTube, Sports Engine Play, whatever it is, just stick around, same exact spot you are, and settle in for a great day of soccer here at Keyworth Stadium. As that one's going to be played forward, it's going to be a run down this near side by Chester. Chester has to take it away from her, but all the way back to Whitsett, and that'll go out for an Indy 11 throw-in.
3-2.
Sean, almost 7 minutes in. What's Indy been doing so well so far? What's Minnesota struggled with this far?
Indy has really found success just playing very direct through the Minnesota back line. Minnesota obviously did not defend that corner well. The second corner, I was watching for it. They did look like they marked pretty tightly, so maybe it lit a fire under them. But I really think they just need to start working the ball around, find some stability in the game, find out where they can attack this Indy defense.
And the quality of these two teams can't go unnoticed. I mean, Indy 11's coming into this match. They obviously, you mentioned last year they won the USL W League national title, and then this year got 23 points out of 10 matches from the Valley Division, a really competitive division with King's Hammer down there, Lexington, Racing Louisville. So definitely a division of note that Indy 11's able to come out of. And then you look on the other side of the ball for Minnesota coming out of that Heartland division, just a meat grinder for there. They got 32 points from 12 matches. So again, two premier teams off the field, on the field as well, and 8 minutes in, we're going to see the pressure turned up a bit once we start to get into crunch time and that pay window starts to open up. Good play with her back to goal there from Addison Chester. Plays it back inside to Derry. Derry's going to spray it out wide. That's a great run by the fullback. It's going to be Sexton coming up the pitch. I think that last touch might have just got away from her, but nonetheless, a great spell of play from Indy 11 right there. Getting the fullbacks involved, the defenders up the pitch, and it almost paid fruition right there. Minnesota Aurora now looking to get a foothold back into this one. It's the foot of Wimes. Wimes going to play it back to the center backs. All the way back out wide. Really not afraid, both of these teams, to play the width, play in the channels, and try to exploit space on the touchlines.
Minnesota needs to look to get number 30, Kaylin Duong, more involved in this game. She has not touched the ball much so far. She was the USL W League Player of the Month in June. She has 19 goal contributions on the season in just 12 regular season games. So if they're going to find some offense, it's probably going to come through her, either on the goal or the assist. But right now, struggling to get her involved in the game.
And when you said 19 to me before the game started, I didn't believe you. I looked at you and I was like, there's no way. They only played 12 games. How do you get 19 goal contributions? So definitely will be a point for Colette Montgomery to get her at number 30 more involved in this match.
Even more incredible, she plays a central midfield position, not a forward. You would expect to see those sort of numbers out of a striker or a winger, but she's playing center midfield right now, and not even the most attacking version of it.
Yeah, really impressive when you get numbers like that out of your number 8, especially playing against Riverlight on 2 occasions, who of course is in the other semifinal later this afternoon. So definitely a division. You're not going out and scoring 20 goals every weekend, and that's why the numbers are inflated. This is a great player and a great team. Yeah, that 19 goal contributions definitely speaks for itself. That one's going to be played out for an Aurora throw-in, about as deep as they've been all evening on down the pitch. So Aurora now, what can they do from the throw-in? Back to the fullback. That one's going to be played in a right-footed ball into the area. That one's poked over before Wimes could do it. Good defensive stand there by Indy 11. It was a moment of worry as Catherine Rabb had the ball on the edge of the area with some space to attack. Playing out of the back once again, Minnesota. This seems to be the MO for both of these teams early on, is playing out of the back, trying to get something going through your center backs and really connecting both ends of the pitch, in trying to create attacking opportunities.
It has been Indy that has been able to find the more dangerous attacking opportunities on the other end, though. Both teams are working the ball around the back pretty well, but Indy's the only one who's been able to find any through balls out of it and generate any dangerous attacking opportunities, and when they've done that, they've gone pretty direct. We saw that last play where they sprayed the ball wide to the fullback. A lot of pace in the Indy squad, very dangerous counterattacking.
Aurora now, right for the ball into the area. Wimes again was up for it, but it was a really composed catch by the Indy 11 keeper. On that occasion, it was Kathleen Phillips. See a foul going against Minnesota there, so it'll be a free kick to Indy 11. We've seen a couple sort of those, nothing malicious, but going for the ball. It's a playoff match, right? You're gonna want to impose yourself in the game as much as possible, as towing the line of what's legal and what's not in the sport of soccer. So, moment of that right there. Aurora now attacking through the midfield. Going to spray it out wide to Nguyen. Nguyen's going to play it into the area, but that one's poked away. Edge of the 18 now for Minnesota. Just a misplaced pass going back the other way of Indy 11. And now it's going to have to be a foot race. But on that occasion, it was won by Sattler. Back to Kane, and then back inside to Siemens. A great passenger player there for Minnesota to get out of danger. Indy on the ball now. Going to send it all the way back to the center of action, try to recycle play.
You can really see what Minnesota wants to do, what they're trying to do when they're playing the ball around like that. They're trying to play patient build-up game, and they're doing that fairly effectively, and they seem to be finding some passing lanes now. Where they're really struggling is just the final ball into the box at this point.
Be a foul against Indy 11 there, so a dangerous free kick from Minnesota. In a lot of ways, they'll probably treat this very similarly to a corner kick. But nonetheless, a dangerous opportunity here for Aurora. Taken incredibly quickly, top of the area. Right footed ball is going to come in into traffic. That one's headed away by Indy 11. So Aurora going to recycle play once again. Spread back out wide. Norfolk's going to play that one forward. Wime's got a header on it. She's going to try to chase that one down, but I think the turf might keep that one out, but instead it stays in. The right-footed ball comes in. There's Donnelly trying to get that one back into the area quickly, but it's cleared out by Indy 11. So these last few minutes from Minnesota, just turning that knob just a little bit and putting pressure on the Indy 11 back line.
These last 5 minutes have been the most successful 5 minutes for Minnesota early in this game yet, but they do seem to be able to work the ball further into the Indy defensive end at this point. They're starting to find where they can connect together, and they're going to have to do that if they're going to get themselves back into this game.
Another moment of off the ball, just intensity a little bit there between Sattler and an Indy 11 player. They got to the point where Colette Montgomery got up and was pleading her case to the official, but we play on. Indy 11, a great little step over there from Sexton to get play continued up the field for Indy 11. Whitsett's going to do some dribbling out wide. The referee's going to say that was all ball. It'll be out for a Minnesota throw-in. So, again, picking up a little bit. Traffic picking up just a little bit here. Things get a little bit more intense. And I think if they do, they'll get more intense from the blue side of things as they're the ones that have to chase the game as we get deeper and deeper into this match. It's going to stay with Minnesota. Picking about 5 yards on that throw-in. Ooh, a clever little back flick there, but it's going to nearly go out of bounds, but it's kept in. A really good job there on the touchline. It's going to go to Indy 11. So the last couple minutes of the game just been played within these, 5 to 10 yards technically in Minnesota's half, but no team out there really to control the ball. It's going to stay with Indy 11, now being taken from their half, the throw-in. See how many yards the referee lets them get away with. Good header backwards, and then just kind of staying in the air for the time being. Good win by Minnesota. Going to stay with them. A good job playing out of the back by Taylor Kane. Back inside to Donnelly. A great job there by Rapp to keep play alive. Plays in Wimes now. Minnesota breaking forward. Wimes try to get in there. It's going to stay with her off of a clever bounce and then eventually go out of play. Yeah, they're going to say that one went off of French, but that play right there by Rapp right in the middle of the park, right on the touchline. A really composed but also really skillful play there by her in the middle of the park.
That was a wonderful skill to spring that attack open for Minnesota. And
you can tell there because the visiting fans that are right below us, they got fired up on that one.
oh yeah, good to see a nice traveling crowd here today.
I'd say
that's a long trip.
At least 50.
Yeah, that is a long trip. I'm sure that's an airplane flight for most of them. So
it certainly was for the Minnesota Aurora players. They flew in yesterday in Indy 11. I don't know when they would have bussed in, but certainly 4 hours. Not too bad of a bus ride that is. So. Yeah, definitely a longer trip for the Minnesota folk. I haven't seen many Indy folk around here as of yet, but certainly Minnesota fans have been making themselves known early on here. Hopefully their team can contribute to that and give them a good memory for coming out. But that one's going to fall on the edge of the area, and it was Catherine Rapp had to just throw a right foot at it. This position she was in, the space she was in, and the opportunity, why not go for it? Indy 11 now looking to add to their advantage. To Minnesota's credit, they really haven't had any chances since going ahead early on through the cherry, through the corner kick. That one's going to go out, and it's going to stay with Indy 11. It's going to be taken by Chatterton. Chatterton's going to throw it down the line. Referee's not going to like that. It wasn't a foul, though, but the position of the throw I think she was unhappy with. I'm a big fan of foul throws. I don't know about you, but it's always fun when the referee calls those.
It does not happen often. It's always an event when it does happen.
Good battle there between
He's not live. He's not home.
Wimes and Chatterton, but they're gonna say Wimes was the aggressor on that occasion. So a free kick coming out at Indy 11. Appreciate everyone joining us on the Detroit City FC YouTube channel as well as Sports Engine Play. Of course, this is one of two Central Conference semifinals. The second, Detroit City FC versus Riverlight FC, coming up at 7 o'clock. So make sure you stay tuned or join us again for that one.
7 o'clock Eastern time.
Eastern,
Feel like
right.
we need to clarify that given the circumstances.
That's right. That's such a good call. The Aurora graphic kind of scared me this morning when I woke up because it said 3 p.m. And I was like, I'm an hour late to the stadium. What am I doing? That ball was attempted but caught at the last minute. Wimes, these last couple of minutes, has been an absolute danger for this Indy 11 back line. She's been so involved, and I think her intensity's picked up a little bit, but the entire Minnesota unit seems to have kind of woken up in these last 2 or 3 minutes. But as I say, that Indy 11 here is currently on the ball and looking to make something happen. That one's going to go out of play once again. But we're seeing you know, what both of these teams are good at in these last couple of minutes. Indy 11 exploiting the flanks, using the wide positions, and Minnesota, like the quality that they have has been so evident these last 4 or 5 minutes.
Minnesota's found a lot of success when they get number 20 Rapp on the ball. She's sprung in last 2 attacks that they've had, nearly on the last one. I thought she was going to be able to break free. Header didn't quite fall to her, but
Indy 11 now in the midfield, try to play that one forward. It's going to go out for a throw-in. So getting the early goal, you know, what does that do, Sean, from like a mentality perspective? Does that wake you up? Does it kind of fire you up, getting that early goal, being ahead, you know, essentially right as the game starts, you're up 1-0?
It has to a little bit, but at the same time, if they're not fired up for a playoff game, lose and go home, what are we doing here? So I'm not sure it's going to change that much, except maybe how they decide to pursue certain opportunities, the risks they're willing to take. It may just settle into the game a little bit more.
A really good job to win it there in the midfield by Indy 11, and we thought maybe we'd get a one-on-one chance there, but it goes out for a goal kick. That was a really good heads-up play there by Natalie Mitchell, who we've seen a couple times. She kind of comes from a deeper position and just presses her socks off towards the defenders, and then they're able to create a chance of it. We'll see it again here. The right-footed ball into the path of Chester, just unable to be fully corralled. It was a good job by Statler to stay on to her there, and it's out for a goal kick. So we've seen that a couple occasions. We're seeing sort of the patterns develop as we thought they would over these first 20 minutes here, and so far Indy 11 has the goal to show for it. Really clever back-to-goal play there from Whitsett. Just the final ball there from Chatterton wasn't as composed as it needed to be, so it's back into the hands of Kane and then back to the center backs for Minnesota. Of course, the winner of this contest moving on to Sunday's Central Conference Final for a spot in the USL W League National Semifinal. That'll be right here at Keyworth Stadium, Sunday's match, a 1 p.m. kickoff between the winner of this match and the later quarterfinal. And then the earmarked date for the national semifinals set for the weekend of July 12th, 13th, or 14th. So then it'll be up to the teams to decide when can work for those that are appearing in that game and where it's going to be. So Detroit City FC has a good case to host if they get through. Minnesota, of course, is a great case to host. And then, of course, last year, Indy 11 hosted, except for the conference semifinals, they hosted all the way up to the final. So, of course, they're in consideration to host as well. Riverlight, not sure. They're a newcomer to the league, so not sure if they would, be looked at to host. But, you got to get there first. So that ball is played really well over the top. Indy 11 just they've been able to find that pocket of space, and it's going to stay with Indy all the way across. That one's going to come in. It was a great save by Taylor Kane on the shot from Natalie Mitchell, and it had to be because Mitchell was in acres of space, and Kane did well to get down to it.
Well, she probably will want that shot back. She did place it pretty close to the goalkeeper, but the goalkeeper did well to get down, strong hand on it. But
yeah, we'll see it again here. A lucky bounce maybe perhaps, and then it comes across. And a good job by Mitchell. She got it out of her feet, did everything right, except the placement of it was right at Kane.
It was in the bottom corner. Unfortunately for her, the goalkeeper just hadn't tracked across the goal and was still at that near post.
So Minnesota now, it's been 23 and a half minutes. We've seen a couple half chances, a couple flashes from them. But on Indy, the red side of the ball, we've seen multiple opportunities that would be dangerous and a couple that the strikers would want back. But that shows they're generating good chances and getting in good positions.
Indy seems to be able to generate opportunities very quickly, too. It goes from nothing dangerous to suddenly through on goal in blink of an eye. They've got a lot of pace in the squad.
And they're operating in sort of like a 3 to 5 yard pocket that's sort of on the far side of the pitch. If you're looking at the stream right between the Fort Pontchartrain and Schrodex boards, they've been playing balls into that area and then playing it back to people making trailing runs into the area. So far that's worked for them. So far they found success doing that, and we'll see. It's up to Minnesota now to put a stop to that. That one's played up and out for a throw-in. That was an errant pass, not one we usually see. A mistake there. Things getting a little bit physical on the touch lines here. Donnelly's just going to put that one up, and it's going to fall to Wimes. Good job by Wimes to keep that one, but it was only as far, honestly, as Cherry, the goal scorer. Turned over here by Indy 11. Now Minnesota's going to have some space to go forward. Nguyen's on the ball now, going to play in Wimes. Wimes takes a left-footed strike, and the keeper did a really good job to get down to that one. It was Kathleen Phillips in between the sticks for Indy 11 this afternoon. Wimes has been their most dangerous player so far for Minnesota, the most involved. Rapp's done a lot. The goal contributions speak for themselves, but Wimes really has been involved from the attacking point for Minnesota thus far. Good step there up into the midfield by Bear. Needed to be. Headed up and maybe a situation of danger here from Elizabeth Sexton. Minnesota applying the pressure in the midfield. Does well to win it back. It's going to be Wynn now going forward. Finds Wimes. Wimes going to play the left-footed ball across. Was put off by the Indy 11 defender. A good job of back into the hands of Kathleen Phillips. So we're seeing pockets where Minnesota kind of breaks out and is able to impose themselves and play attacking soccer, and then Indy 11 just kills the game a little bit, kills the momentum. It's been an interesting back and forth so far.
Does look like possibly maybe a little bit of a tactical switch up from Minnesota. Wimes has shifted to the central striker. She was playing as a right winger at the start of the game. Maybe just recognizing the amount of time she's had on the ball, the danger she's brought. Figure why not get her more central. And that is French out to the right wing position.
You see her on the ball right there, right as we're talking
Yeah.
about her. So that's good coincidence, and we're thankful for it to make the point that Sean's making. Donnelly's going to throw it down the line. Wimes coming from that central position towards the near side touchline to get some touches on the ball, but it's going to stay with Donnelly and Minnesota. French back to goal. Did well to kick it off the Indy 11 defender there and pick up about 15 yards for the next throw-in. So Donnelly now has Wimes to throw it into in front of her, as well as Rapp. Going to elect to go inside. Siemens is going to play that one in. Headed away by Indy 11, but only as far as Zabilich. Zabilich is, in that one, definitely Kathleen Phillips, the entire Indy 11 backline would have been concerned about that one, but it's up and over, and just barely, but still, Kathleen Phillips would have been worried about that. So Indy 11, a goal kick now, 27.5 minutes gone here at Keyworth Stadium. Indy 11 enjoying a 1-0 lead over Minnesota. If you're just joining us, it was Indy 11 who started the scoring just 3 minutes into this match. Carson Cherry got up on a header to give her side the lead. This is the 3rd consecutive season these two sides have met in the postseason. So a budding rivalry for sure here at Keyworth Stadium playing out in front of us. Wimes is going to take a left-footed strike and into the hands of Phillips once again.
Perhaps a bit speculative on that, but they are starting to get some chances, take some shots.
And you can't score if you don't take shots, right? So, I mean,
It's true.
shoot or shoot. That one's going to go out for an Indy 11 throw-in back in Minnesota's half. Since that chance, a few minutes ago from Mitchell that she would have wanted back, it really has been all Minnesota. So a good spell of 6-7 minutes here where Aurora been doing a really good job getting the ball up the pitch. But Indy 11 now looking to double their lead. Referee's going to blow the foul there. It'll be a free kick in a really dangerous position here for Indy 11. Aurora pleading their case. See it again here. A really good job to cut inside, middle of the park, and then, that could have been a 50-50, but I see why the referee gave that. It's not going to stop. Plead your case. Why not?
It's not a particularly hard foul, but just a little clip.
Put him off the ball. Put the player off the ball. They go down. Hard for the referee not to blow the whistle there. So it'll be a little bit of a committee standing over this one for Indy 11. Grace Bear's down there. Katie Soderstrom's down there as well. And then even a little bit behind the play is Derry, so we'll see who steps up and takes this one. This feels like a right-footed effort. I wouldn't be shocked if Soderstrom stepped up and tried to tuck this one into the top corner. Just waiting on the referee's whistle here. Bear's going to throw a left-footed. Oh, it's up and over. Left-footed strike. And only for a split second, Taylor Kane would have been put off by that, but it sailed way over into the concourse. Another look at it again here. I thought it was going to be Soderstrom the way she put her hand up, but it was Bear that sent it up and over, going for that top left corner, keeper's right.
Trying to keep some doubt in the keeper's mind there, who's going to take it, which foot it's going to come with, which way it's going to curl.
It's good to, clearly Indy 11 trusts that they have two, free kick specialists, and it's good to have both and kind of make that keeper have to think about it a little bit. That ball is going to be slipped in Minnesota now, going the other way. French has, French tried to play it into the feet of French, and then she turned it over and frustratingly pulls the foul, and it goes the other way. We'll see it again here. Good ball into French, and the first touch kind of just let her down there. It was a physical battle between French and Chatterton, and then eventually French just has enough and throws Chatterton into the ground. Indy 11's going to try to play direct here. There's a good disguised run from a little bit deeper position there, and it's going to be into the hands of Taylor Kane. Not had much to do, Kane, other than that save on that Mitchell chance a few minutes ago. A lot of it has been sort of out of her purview or coming to her, just kind of rolling on the ground. Not really much she could have done on that corner kick. So as Wimes does really well to break free here. Back inside. That one's going to come in at the far post. Indy 11 makes it. Gets it clear out of danger. But for a second there, it was a little bit of confusion amongst the Indy back line, and that's Minnesota's most dangerous chance of the afternoon.
She had to get that out of there immediately because Minnesota was inches away from pouncing on it as it comes back across. We get another look.
Oh.
Two Minnesota players crashing in on it. Had to make that clearance.
Great job by Duong to get that one back into the area. And then once you put it into that mixer and things get complicated with bodies, the ball's bouncing around, you don't know what's going to happen. And to score goals, you kind of have to create chances like that of uncertainty. And Minnesota has their first of the game right there to put the Indy 11 back line under a little bit of pressure. Great turn inside there, and good job by Chester. Tried to slip in Whitsett that was making the run, as well as Mitchell. But it's going to go back to the visitors. Geez, they're both visitors. Donnelly now. Near side. Does well to skip past the defender. The right-footed ball comes into the area. Cleared out by Indy 11, but only as far as Wimes. Wimes trying to create space for the shot. It's going to be turned over. I said that. And then a great job by Duong to get it back for her side. And then popped up and potentially out of play here, but it's going to stay actually with Indy 11. That was a really well-weighted ball there by Whitsett. But the press from Aurora wins it back for their side. 50-50 clash of legs. Glad to see the referee kept the whistle at bay there. Minnesota trying to play things quick, just got a little bit too cute right there in that passing sequence. But we're seeing it pick up, Sean.
Definitely a lot of physical play in the last couple of minutes.
Thrown in down the far side touchline. It's going to stay with Indy 11, picking up about 5 to 7 yards on that one. But since they moved Wimes centrally, the Minnesota attack has looked a lot more intentional and direct since you pointed out that the change that they made on that.
You can definitely see why they want to get her more involved. And after they did move her central, actually saying that now, it does look like she's back out to the right wing. And now Rapp is playing as the striker. So a very flexible attacking
Indy
setup
11 wins the ball back, and just sort of you can't win the lottery if you don't buy a ticket, and Mitchell went for it.
So either the system for Minnesota is designed to be very flexible, or making some tactical changes as they see how the Indy defense reacts.
Yeah, and even when Wimes was up top, like structurally she was up top, but when situationally we saw her still going wide like she is now, and a great job to cut back inside. And she would do stuff like this when she was the out-and-out striker for those minutes she was. So
well, she's continuing her run into the center, so she is still going to see heavy involvement as she slides into the center there.
Things getting physical on that far side touchline between Sexton and Nguyen.
A little bit of extracurriculars after the ball was out of bounds even.
That's why we love the playoffs, right?
Yeah.
It is such an American, thing though to have playoffs in soccer, right? Like everywhere else in the world, there's a table, the season ends, everyone's happy, we all go home, yada yada. But they don't create situations like this. This is, W League, NPSL, USL Championship, USL League One, all of these leagues, they create moments like this in situations where, the regular season is what it is, but you have to qualify, and then it's win or go home from there on out. It creates intense rivalries, great matchups, and we're seeing 2 of them today here at Keyworth. Spoiled for choice. Great ball down the line there. It's going to be Nguyen that's going to try to get onto it for Minnesota. And then again, it was Sexton. So that's a battle to keep an eye on. Sexton just gets up and walks away from it and wins on the ground, pleading her case.
Certainly a very physical coming together there. I'm sure some people would argue it's shoulder to shoulder as we get another look. Other people will think
cold.
that's a foul.
It's ice cold from Sexton to get up, kind of wag the finger, be like, I didn't see anything in that. And I'm cool with that not being a foul, though. If it's shoulder to shoulder, you're going after the ball. What are you going to do? But that's a battle to keep an eye on as this match progresses. We've seen them get a little bit physical between the two. As of late, referee calls for the handball there, and Mitchell's lucky there not to get a yellow card. Obviously, the whistle went, and she kicked it to this near side. I don't know if we've seen a lot of officials. They've tried to tighten up a little bit on time wasting and stuff like that, but I don't know if I like that from Mitchell there.
Kicked the ball away, and we had 0 balls, and now we've got 2 balls. So we are.
No, okay.
We have back to the.
You need 1 ball to play.
I've mandated 1 ball to play the sport.
That's a great rule. Needing 1 ball. So it's a perfect amount because 2 would be too many. 0 is obviously not enough. What are you going to do? Good intensity here by Minnesota, just slowly picking things up a little bit as we creep up on halftime. That one's going to fall edge of there. The left-footed shot's going to come in. It was sort of scuffed by Siemens and into the hands of Kathleen Phillips. But again, we're seeing the movement on the edge of the 18. We're seeing the runs into the box from Minnesota slowly picking up more and more. Yeah, we see, just sort of scuffed it, came out of her feet was from Simons there.
Looked like Rapp ducked out of the way of the shot that didn't actually end up being struck at her head like she thought it was going to be. And maybe if she had kept her head up, she would have had a chance to be through on goal on that.
Definitely a scuff, though. I think we could argue that. That one's going to be a great header there by Rapp and trying to find the run of Wimes, but it's going to go back with Indy 11. Tried to poke it through the legs there, but it's going to stay with Minnesota. Donnelly now on the ball. Comes to that right-sided center back, and we kind of just see Minnesota have to hoof it up the pitch because of the high press that Indy 11's employing right now. A great job there from Indy 11's Whitsett. Tried to just cut into some space at the edge of the area, but it's going to be cut out, and looks like it'll stay with Indy 11. That ball, I was going to say ball kid, but that ball guy's been the MVP these last couple minutes.
Not so much a ball kid. Ball
guy?
Ball official?
Ball. Yeah, that sounds legitimate. I love that. Yeah, that sounds great. It's going to stay with Indy. He's doing sprints down the far side touchline. That's awesome. Minnesota, great job to win the ball back inside of the penalty area. There's Nguyen, who's been sort of the most involved Minnesota defender here early on. We're 40 minutes into this match. Played forward. Rapp trying to settle things down. Good turn from her. It's going to be played up, and I think she was looking for the run of her left back there, but it's going to go with Indy. I think the rain has calmed down a little bit here, knock on wood, for those watching at home and us certainly up here in the press box. Indy 11, the press has been so successful for them so far. Every time Minnesota seems like they might have a half chance or some time on the ball, and Indy 11 player shows up out of nowhere and wins it back. Playing out of the back now, looking for Wimes. Been a few minutes, she's got on the ball. A great touch around the defender there from Wimes. The referee's going to blow her whistle. On that occasion, I believe the guilty party was Jenna Chatterton.
Looks like she will escape with just a talking to.
Yeah, that was Derry that was being spoken to on that occasion.
That was pretty hard foul, but I'm okay with it not being a yellow card.
Yeah, if you have the conversation and then you say, hey, the next one, we're going to talk about a yellow card, that's fine with me.
When you do talk to players, I do think you got to back it up with a card the next time, though. Otherwise, you just seem like a pushover.
That's Sean Grogan calling the referee out, folks. He's saying that it better be a yellow card next time or else. Staying with Minnesota, they tried to play that one into the mixer, and it's gonna stay with them, just in a way deeper position than they would have liked. Been a really involved couple minutes from Nicole Nolfork, Nolfork of the back line. It's gonna be offside, so it's gonna go back with Minnesota.
She does have her hand raised for an indirect free kick, but it can't be offside in the half. So,
well, what's crazy is she had the hand raised, and then the ref had the flag up. So I don't know what that's about.
But if it's offside, it wouldn't restart in the Indy half.
That one's gonna come in. Sort of a bounce around header jamboree right there, but it's going to be cleared by the Indy 11 back line. Only as far as Norfolk. Norfolk playing it back to Kane. Sattler now. Sattler just throws a right foot at it. Duong. These short passes from Indy, like 2 to 3 yards in the midfield, they've been their get out of the jail free card on multiple occasions. The Minnesota press has been on it sometimes. See a little bit off the ball there, and Sattler's just, what are you doing to the Indy 11 player? But these 2 to 3 yards passes that happen on the first touch, they've opened up so much space further down the field for Indy 11 so far, and it's been a joy to watch. Kane to Statler. Sattler's going to throw a right foot at it. Nearly every time Sattler has the ball in space, we're seeing her try to play incredibly direct over the midfield and try to find one of those forwards. That's about the third or fourth time already she's done that. 42 minutes in, Kathleen Phillips already slowing things down when receiving the ball. She's in no hurry to take this.
Checking the
You gotta
pressure.
check yeah. And that's respect. You got to check the pressure of the ball. That one takes a couple bounces off the turf, and it's going to stay with Indy 11. And nearly, for a split second there, it looked like Mitchell could have been in a dangerous position. Good job by Wimes to settle things down back to Donnelly. Donnelly cuts inside. Poked away. But staying with Donnelly. Statler again. Third or fourth time in a row. She just, the second it gets that ball to her right foot, she just blasts it forward looking for an attacker up the pitch. Wonder if that's going to switch up in the second half if Colette Montgomery doesn't like what she's seeing. 'Cause that's got to be tactical. Great job there to win it back by Wynn. Now, Minnesota Aurora is going to slip in. Wynn. Wynn's going to play it back across, and it's cut out at the last second. And it was a last-ditch tackle. It needed to be by Bear, and a great job by her to see out the danger. In terms of passing and creating, fashioning opportunities, that's the closest Minnesota's come all afternoon.
Yeah, she just blindsided the Indy player who was on the ball, had no idea she was coming, and she was closing fast. And that is inches away from a strike on goal from 6 yards out.
The vision of that is unbelievable by Wynn to spot that run. And Rapp was making it and just cut out at the last second by Bear. And the run is great. The idea for the pass was great, but equally was the tackle by Bear, and it needed to be, or else it could be 1-1 here at Keyworth. As the Sun makes a debut here in the first half. Physical battle here in the middle of the park. Good job by the official not to call it. And the 11 breaking forward through Chatterton. A great run in the middle by Chatterton. Good layoff. 1-2 passing. Ella Rogers now plays the ball forward. That one's going to be onside. The left-footed shot comes in. It's a great save by Taylor Kane to deny Mitchell. And it'll be a goal kick.
Kane did really well to close the distance there. Show her wide.
Onside
right.
as well.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, Kane did a great job. And she comes off her line, which is a little bit of danger because you open yourself up to getting chipped a little bit there. But a great job by her to you know, stay tall, stay big, not.
It is.
Yeah.
Textbook goalkeeping one-on-one.
And that got a great reaction from the traveling Minnesota crowd. We haven't really had much to cheer for all afternoon. We'll see it again here. And again, that opportunity came from these clever 1-2 passes in the middle of the park by Indy 11. And yeah, the left-footed shot by Mitchell. She wanted the one back a couple minutes ago. She'll definitely want that one back.
I think Mitchell probably should have taken the strike about a step earlier. She may have, before Kane was able to close the gap.
She kind of gave Kane, not a get-out-of-jail-free card,
Right.
but she gave Kane sort of the advantage in that situation by waiting so long to take
But
the
Kane's
strike.
positioning was good. There's a reason she didn't think she had the shot a step earlier.
It's going to stay with Indy 11 now as we creep up on first half stoppage time. I can't imagine there'll be much. There's only been a couple fouls, a few corners, and, of course, the goal from Indy 11. So maybe 2 or 3 minutes. Nothing beyond that. Good to settle down in the middle of the park by Indy 11, who want to, of course, add one more goal. The referee's going to stop play for a handball. A similar position to what we saw.
1 minute of added time as we see the board go up.
Even better. Similar position to what we saw Indy free kick a few minutes ago, but maybe a little bit deeper. On that occasion, it was Bear that stepped up and threw the shot at it, went over the bar. So we'll see if stuff switches up on this one.
2 players over the ball again.
Same 2 from last time. Making it easy for us. Soderstrom and Bear, of course, we saw Bear take the last one. I wonder if Soderstrom's going to step in and say, hey, that one was way over the bar. It's going to be Bear again. That one's coming in. It's off the crossbar. But Indy 11 maintain possession. It's up in the air. It's not controlled. And then a left-footed strike from Mitchell. Kind of just scuffed with the left foot and out of play. So right on the brink of halftime here, Taylor Kane, the entire Minnesota Aurora back line, put off once again, this time by a dangerous free kick.
I can try and get it from one, but it'll take a second. One is still hot.
The referee is going to blow the halftime whistle. So after 45 minutes of play, it's Indy 11 1, Minnesota Aurora 0. Sean, what did we see out of that first half, and why are these two sides separated at the break?
Well, it was really just that Indy was switched on from the first minute. It took Minnesota a couple minutes to get themselves into the game, sort of fell asleep on a corner. After that, the play was much more even, chances on both ends. I would not be surprised to see several more goals at Keyworth here again today as we get another look. That bar.
I was thinking about this watching the Euros the other day. Whoever made the decision in soccer to go from the square post to the round post, they knew what they were talking about. Every time the ball, goes off the woodwork, it's almost as electric as a goal. So, Indy 11 up by 1 here at the half. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back from Keyworth Stadium for the second half of action. The Indy 11 1, Minnesota Aurora 0 here at halftime. Welcome back into Keyworth Stadium. We are getting ready for the second half of action in today's USL W League Central Conference semifinal between Minnesota Aurora and Indy 11. Sean Grogan, we see the goal scorer right there. Carson Cherry, who broke the deadlock between the two sides super early on with a header off of a corner. And really, the second this game started, it was already 1-0 Indy 11.
We'll get another look at that goal.
As simple as they come. Just rose up for the header, beat the defenders, put it up, and you get a header in that position. In a playoff game, you must score. It's going to be 1-0, and so far it stayed that way, and we're getting ready for the second half here from Keyworth Stadium. Referee going through the final checks. And we are underway at Keyworth for the second half in today's USL W League Central Conference semifinal. Indy 11 looking to hold on to a lead. Minnesota looking to claw one back, and both sides looking to play the same way they did in the first half. Because if you're Minnesota, I think they actually played well, but they just couldn't get the chance to show for it as early on here. That was a little bit of pressure there. That was wind, I believe, that got onto it. Kind of just tried to get a last leg on it before it went up and out of play, and it'll be out for an Indy 11 goal kick.
Even though Minnesota finds themselves 1-0 down, they actually had outshot Indy 5-4 in the first half, so they are generating some chances. As that play will make it 6-4 on the shots. And I do see that there was one sub during half. It looks like French exiting, and Yao Zhou comes into the Minnesota Aurora midfield. It does look like Duong has pushed up into the attacking midfielder position, and Yao Zhou will play as the defensive midfielder. So they're looking to get her more involved in the attack, and at 19 goal contributions on the year, why wouldn't you? Yeah, that's an interesting switch to me, because I actually thought French was pretty involved as far as the Minnesota players had been in that first half. I thought French was there, but a switch to Zhou now, and we'll see what she can bring to the second half of playoff soccer here at Keyworth. So Minnesota looking to exploit the near side touchline there, but Indy 11 staying strong as they have done so far. Great job there to poke things through, and Duong tried to play it forward to win, but it's going to be out for an Indy 11 throw-in. And if you thought stuff was picking up in that first half, you thought things were getting a little bit more intense, you haven't seen much in the second half as we see a little physical battle there right in front of us. Called for a handball. Ball just flicked up into the hand. Not much you could do about it, but if your arm's out and it gets flicked up like that, it's going to be called, especially when it's not such a dangerous opportunity like this. It's an easy whistle for the ref.
And now sort of a deeper free kick here. That one's going to be played into the area, headed away by Indy 11. Indy 11 looks like they're sitting just a little bit deeper than they might have in that first half. A great flick there by Mitchell, who in the first half had a couple opportunities, not to put the game to bed, but to double the lead on a few occasions. A couple well-worked balls into the area. Then that one-on-one that Minnesota's Kane did a great job to stand up and defend against. So definitely been involved in this match, and a couple chances that she'll want back, and she might score in different matches that we've seen from her this season. I think Donnelly is also kind of shifted to more of a natural center back position, whereas we saw her sort of wide in that first half. So interesting switch as they come out for the second half. We'll see a corner kick here for Minnesota. Those were hard to come by in the first half for them. Looks like it will be Caitlin Duong that's going to take this one on the far side. Duong now is going to play this one in. Put it into a dangerous position. It was a great job to get up by Kathleen Phillips, and it really had to be because she was being crowded. We're seeing teams sort of be more direct when going after the goalkeeper on corner kicks. We're seeing it a lot in the Euros. We've seen it a lot in the W League this season. It's something that teams have realized they're able to do. Put the keeper off, and maybe a ball will fall, and you have the chance to put it in the back of the net. We'll see it again here. Great job by Phillips to get up for that one.
3 runners going to the back post there, clearly looking for them.
Throw into the near side. Minnesota pokes it away. It's going to stay with Indy 11 at about midfield. As the sun has come out, and it looks like it might be staying out for the time being. We're seeing shadows down there. Good touch inside. That one's out for a Minnesota throw-in, taken incredibly quickly by Aurora. Nguyen nearly thought about getting a touch in there, but it's going to stay with them. I feel like the ball has been predominantly on this near side since the start of the second half. It's going to go to the way of Indy 11, though. Sexton throws it forward. Tried to be headed over there by Whitsett. Going to go back to Minnesota. So sort of a game of ping pong here early on in the second half, just going back and forth, but not really moving a lot as it's staying in sort of this area, this middle third of the pitch and on this near side of the field as well.
Does mean that we get a very up-close view here in the press box.
Good ball forward. It's going to be Mitchell again. Mitchell has some space in the area, and a great job to get down to it by Taylor Kane, and she really had to because Whitsett was making a run right over that penalty spot that would have seen her free in the middle of the pitch.
If she doesn't catch that right there, that's probably going into the back of the net. But she did well. Step out, get two hands on it.
It was a great ball across. It really was. And again, Kane was there when she needed to be, and despite being 1-0 down, Kane's been really good for Minnesota and has probably been one of the more involved players, which isn't great when you're saying that about your goalkeeper, but she made that one-on-one save, made the save on Mitchell a few minutes before that, and then right again coming up big with that huge catch in the middle of the 18-yard box. Wimes now lost out on that occasion. Forward again, Indy 11. Headed down, but only as far as Indy 11. And we'll see a run through here. A great job there. Last-ditch defending there by Zabilchik. Thrown in, though. Staying with Indy 11, nearly into the 18-yard box. A great cutback. That one's going to be played across. And free at the far post. Wow. That was Bear, I believe, at that far post. And the goal was gaping, wide open at the far post, just kind of scuffed it as it came across to her, and it lucky not to be 2-0 for Minnesota.
Really, she was so unmarked on that back post that she had time to take a touch that I don't think she knew she had. Tried to hit it with her left foot and just sort of missed on the swing.
Oh, it was a great ball across. I think that's actually Ellard Rogers. But it was a great ball across by Soderstrom. The right foot, and that's about as perfect as a forward as you want that ball to be, and then just the scuff chance, for sure, Kane would have been beaten at her far post. Minnesota now, sort of a flick up into the air, and the wind's going to do a great job to turn and throw a left foot at it. It's funny, the passing by train, the wheels made a squeak on the tracks, and I thought that was the referee's whistle. I thought someone was going to the penalty spot
reaction.
There. Nguyen's going to get the ball to her feet, play it across 18-yard box, back to Nguyen now, and eventually cleared out by Indy 11. But it's going to stay with Minnesota. Going to try to play it inside. It's going to be out, despite the best efforts of Duong, and it's going to be out for an Indy 11 throw-in. I was for sure that was the referee's whistle, but then I looked up, I saw a train, I figured it's probably just the squeaking on the train tracks.
I thought that was the referee's whistle too, and
it was physical.
I was confused because there was no reason for it and play was continuing.
That's the train. That's the culprit right there. That squeaking right there made us think there was a penalty awarded to Minnesota Aurora. So there you go. Bilchik now tried to be kept in at the last second there by Nguyen, but it didn't have to be because it was going to stay with them regardless. Is this a free kick or a throw-in? This is going to be a free kick. Not sure for what. Maybe a handball. Duong standing over it as well as Norfolk. Norfolk now looking to swing this one into the area. It's going to be a right-footed effort. It's going to be floating in the air for quite some time. Wimes going to try to run over onto it and keep it in play. It's going to go actually off the corner flag for a goal kick. If anything, I think that should be a deep throw-in. Wimes looking for an explanation there. I actually don't know how that's a goal kick because it did bounce off the corner flag, but regardless, Indy 11 gets play started once again through Kathleen Phillips, and it'll look to build out of the back. Sexton now plays it forward, and then a nice little 1-2 with Soderstrom and Sexton. Derry now getting involved, playing it back out to the far side. Indy 11 has numbers forward here. They're not dropping off as much as maybe they might in a couple minutes here once if it's still 1-0, but nonetheless back into the hands of Kathleen Phillips, or excuse me, Taylor Kane. Donnelly now. Wimes dropping a little bit deeper to get involved. Tried to just cleverly play it over to the fullback, but it's out of play instead. And again, that ball person down there is doing a great job. I hope he's got one of those Apple Watch step counters on because he's been up and down that flank the entire match. Great turn in the midfield there by Joe. Going to ground. Nguyen plays it forward. Back to Joe, the substitute. Flicking it through to Wimes. Wimes thought she was able to keep it in. It's going to go out for an Indy 11 goal kick. But good to see. It's sort of the first time we've seen, Zhu been involved so far. And tried to play in Wimes there. Just couldn't keep it in off of the turf.
That was a nice little sequence on the give and go. And then using the outside of her boot to try and play her right there. Ball, unfortunately, just rolls a little bit long for her on the Keyworth turf.
That one's going to take a skip off the turf before going out for a Minnesota throw-in. It's Bilchik. It's going to stay with Minnesota. About 10 yards further than the previous. The wind's going to leave it. I always wonder why fullbacks are like the designated throw-in people. Is there like just because they're always near the touchline anyways? What do you think the reason behind that is?
Well, they're on the sides of the fields to start with, and they're trying to generate attacking opportunities, so it makes more sense to have your attackers ahead of you. Doesn't pull the team formation too much out to have them take it.
The Minnesota Aurora fans starting to find their voice here as their team slowly picking things up on the field just a little bit. Sort of a miscommunication here between Indy 11's back line, and
that's
has to go out for a corner, and that's a tough corner to give away. So corners have been few and far between for the Aurora, but this one's going to come in, the right-footed ball into the area. Defended well at the near post by Indy 11. It's going to stay with Aurora. Before being played forward, a great touch in the middle. And that one kind of just skipped off and out of play. So, again, we've seen this a couple times from Minnesota. They've been in good chances. They've had good shooting opportunities, but the chance has eventually ended up being scuffed and out of play.
some warning signs for Indy these last couple minutes, though, as they're getting a little bit slow in their play in the back. Minnesota starting to generate some more chances.
So nearly at the 60-minute mark here. We saw the one substitution at the half. You'll wonder when both of these teams will start to make more adjustments to try to, if you're Indy, see the game out, but if you're Minnesota, look for an equalizer. As that one comes all the way across the area, and it's punted up into the sky, and good physical battle taking place, and it'll be out.
Last 5 minutes have
corner.
Probably been the most bright 5 minutes of the game for Minnesota. They're really pushing Indy back into their own box, starting to generate a lot of half chances.
Twong now. Corner from the opposite side. All the way across, and that one goes up and over everybody and out for an Indy 11 goal kick. Yeah, definitely these last few minutes, you've started to see things amp up just a little bit. The desperation is going to start to come out for Minnesota Aurora, and then Indy 11, you start to wonder when they're going to start employing the gamesmanship of taking goal kicks a little bit longer, taking throw-ins a little bit longer, stuff that's legal, but just slowing things down just a little bit and taking some of the sting out of the game. Right-footed goal kick is going to be up and into the midfield. Wynn got up for the header as Wimes just making a gut-bursting run through the middle. Put it back into the hands very calmly and very assuredly of Kathleen Phillips. What does Minnesota, Sean, have to do to maybe press for the equalizer a little bit more? Do you think what they've been doing has worked so far and they've just been unlucky with chances, or what do you think they have to switch in these final 30 minutes?
Well, I think this last little stretch of play has been their best of the game yet so far. What they really need is higher quality chances. They're starting to generate lots of half chances, but not really any super dangerous chances. They can just find one more final ball, generate more dangerous chances for themselves. It does feel like they're only one pass away a lot of the time at this point.
And that's an improvement what we saw in the first half from them where they struggled to get the ball into a position where they could have a half chance from. So to see them make that leap has been encouraging, but they're running out of time to make that final step into generating clear-cut opportunities.
They're really committing to the press right now. Indy is...
Oh, wow. The referee's gonna let that one happen. I saw, they're shoulder to shoulder, but I definitely we saw an extended arm up here.
That looked like more of a push to me as her arm came up and out. Minnesota fans certainly making their opinions known underneath the press box.
And yeah, that was, to be fair, that I could see that given as a foul. That was definitely physical. We'll see it again here. Oh, but again, that is shoulder to shoulder, but there was some extension of the arm.
When it is shoulder to shoulder like that, I think the extension of the arm is really what you need to look for. And referee is sort of in a difficult position there. She can't see through the player, but she does have an assistant referee who is able to help her out.
And all game we've seen Elizabeth Sexton not be afraid to go in for those opportunities where things could get physical, things could get turned up, and that's what you want as a coach, right?
It's true. That is not the first physical coming together. We saw one of those between those same two players in the first half.
And now that they're closer to us, we get to see an even better angle of it. As Sexton now once again on the ball, plays it inside. Also makes a run herself. Sexton maybe tried to get to it, but poked away at the last second. It's going to stay with Indy 11 in Minnesota's half. Throw in by Sexton. Soderstrom trying to maintain possession. It's going to be punted up the pitch by Minnesota. It's going to remain on this half of the field. Sexton now. Not a lot of movement from Indy 11 on this throw-in. Good header backwards and a great turn and run there by Chester, just unable to get on the other end of it. Sexton, really good turn there to maintain possession. Sherry, the goal scorer, puts it up and into an area. Really clever 1-2 there. Eventually ended up with Derry. As Mitchell's looking to get a foot onto it as Indy looks to control the ball here. Neither side able to really control it these last 90 seconds or so. And Minnesota eventually wins the ball back and looking to play forward. A ball over the top, nearly slipped in Catherine Rapp. And not the most assured goal kick we've seen or clearance we've seen all day from Kathleen Phillips. And that's a credit to the pressure that Minnesota was applying on the goalkeeper.
They've really ratcheted up the press as they're chasing the tying goal.
And what's impressive about that, too, they've ratcheted up the press without really changing personnel. So this is still their starting 11, and they still have the gas in the tank to be able to make up that press. And then when you put subs on, that'll only add to that even more. Wynn heavily involved in this second half, and that one looked for the run of Wynn, but it's going to go past Sexton and out of play for an Indy 11 goal kick. See Wynn there, one of the more involved players with this attack for Minnesota so far. It's really been Wynn, Rapp, and Wimes that have been the most involved for them, through 64 minutes of play. So we're seeing some of the below us, some of the Riverlight players arriving for the second semifinal of tonight's double feature. Out of play for a Minnesota throw-in at about midfield.
It is somewhat confusing that Riverlight is from Aurora and we're watching Aurora play, and
don't even get me started on that. It is confusing. It is confusing.
I've
been saying Chicago area all week just because I'm not saying Aurora. That's this game, of course. Good job by Wynn to retrieve that one. Wynn now creates space. The left-footed shot comes in. Took a bounce off, a deflection before falling to Wimes now in the area. And then cleared away by Indy 11. And that's an important header to win there. Slowed down just a little bit, but kept alive by Derry. and then cleared eventually out. But again, only as far as the midfield. But we see the Minnesota line stepping up a little bit, maybe 5 to 10 yards further forward than they were in that first half. Cut away. Indy 11 looking for that. And then you see 2 Minnesota Aurora players stepping up into space right there. Right for the ball into the area. Cut out. Referee's going to say handball, I believe. We'll get a free kick in a deep, dangerous position here for Minnesota. It was the Indy 11 player that was like leaping up, I think, to try to stop it from getting in the area. And when you jump, your hand naturally comes up. So I think that's what was called there. Right outside of the area. Yeah. I mean, that was more than like the natural jumping up, but
yeah, it looked like she was protecting her head, but her hands did come up.
So Jenna Chatterton called for the handball, and now Minnesota looking to take advantage on what's in a lot of ways no different from a corner, the way they're setting up, but maybe just a little bit more shallow. We'll see this one played into the area. At the near post, it's in! Minnesota Aurora finds the equalizer. Kathleen Phillips made a mess of it, and it's 1-1 at Keyworth.
What a strike that is from a really pretty tough angle on that free kick. I thought she was just going to play the ball across, look to find a teammate. She elected to go direct on goal, and inch perfect shot there. Goalkeeper did get hands on it, but not strong enough to keep it from out of the back of the net.
And it's 1-1 at Keyworth. I believe that was Duong that played that one in.
Yeah,
I think the hand on it might have almost assisted it going into the back of the net.
Just a little element of surprise there. I don't think Phillips was expecting it to be a direct shot at net, and at this point, over the last 10 minutes, you'd have to say Minnesota has had the better run of play. Now they get a pretty deserved goal.
And if you're in the 11 now, you spent almost all game operating from the front foot, being able to say you had the lead, and now Minnesota's going to look, they want to end this game right away and not have to worry about, both teams don't want to worry about extra time when you got to play again on Sunday. Duong again goes for it. It's going to be Wickers now playing it back. Duong went forward, and then immediately Wimes was right there, so it could have been double trouble for Indy 11. But who now look to break forward with numbers. A really strong switch there from Indy 11. Look to break forward and give it again. It's Minnesota. The intensity's been exactly what it needs to be for Minnesota in this second half.
I do see some substitutes for Indy warming up pretty intensely. It looks like they're probably going to be the first to make changes as the game state has changed for them now. The intensity really on the Indy side has dropped, so they feel that they need to.
Yeah, that's a great finish. To go for that near post from that type of an angle, it is really special of a strike at Keyworth here. So 1-1, and that, of course, sent the Minnesota fans crazy right below us. Looks like we will see 2 substitutions for Indy 11 getting readied here. Looks like it'll be at least 2 subs, as they're not the first to go to the bench, but the first to go to the bench in this game state, and they're going to be the ones that make the first move. And as I was saying, neither of these sides want extra time, considering that the winner has to go and play on Sunday in a game match that could go to extra time. Middle of the day could be a hot one, and you want to get this over. And if you advance, right? But you want to get this over as soon as possible.
I really think Indy has got the right idea bringing in subs at this point. It feels like their intensity has really dropped off a cliff these last couple of minutes.
And really, they haven't had to play as if, they're trying to win the game since they've gone ahead, because it was so early. The game essentially started at 1-0. So, not playing for a draw, obviously, but you're able to play in a way that
more
is
conservatively.
More conservatively, right, for sure. But now they'll have to come out of their shell and try to get a goal, or else it's slipping away from them. I would have rambled for minutes if you had not come up with more conservatively, so I appreciate that, Sean Grogan. 69 minutes on the clock, nearly 70, only 21 plus stoppage time remaining here at Keyworth Stadium. Stoppage time and what could be extra time. with it being a playoff match. The intensity certainly picking up for Minnesota. Referee's going to blow that whistle against the Aurora. Another situation there where Elizabeth Sexton's not been afraid to, put a foot in and stay strong and tough when she needs to be. Just a physical battle there, and then, yeah, Sexton just puts herself in between the defender and the ball and wins the free kick.
Good call from the official there. She got none of the ball. Full body contact.
So it'll be a deep free kick here from Indy 11. It's going to be Grace Bear stepping over it. The left-footed ball is going to come into the area. Served in, headed up and on frame, but calmly into the hands of Taylor Kane. The header of it, I think it took the sting off of it. A really easy save for Kane on that occasion. These subs have been waiting to come in for minutes at this point. Booted up and into the midfield, bounces over everybody. Wynn could get a foot on this one. Wimes nearly was slipped in there. It's going to stay with Minnesota. Substitute. Schro breaking forward, the right-footed ball in. Wimes in some space. Wimes goes for it, and it's shot up and over the bar. You mentioned Indy 11 is the right time to make these substitutions. We'll see two of them happening right here. We know one of them is going to be Susan Soderstrom.
Joining her.
There's then Nora Jacobman coming in. So that'll be 9 for 19. So that'll be Whitsett making way. And then number 14, Elizabeth Sexton, also making way for Nora Jacobman and Susan Soderstrom. So sort of a shuffling of the cards here at Keyworth with under 20 minutes remaining.
Susan Soderstrom joining her sister Katie Soderstrom on the field.
Always a fun little note to make. There's no way that's a coincidence, right? There's no way that's a coincidence.
Minnesota has triplets on their roster. The Raps, I believe only one of them is in the game currently.
Only one of them listed in the 18, so maybe the other two couldn't make the trip. Maybe there was a family 4th of July, and then one of them was able to make the trip, and the others are hanging out watching on YouTube. And so we'll see how these substitutes sort of impact things. I think they'll maybe, from Indy 11, it'll encourage the other players on the field to maybe step up a little bit and realize there's fresh legs for them to press on with. And then if you're Minnesota, it's just doing the things you've been doing all this second half and hoping it leads to a second goal. Throw in deep here from Indy 11. Thrown into the penalty area. Bounces around and then eventually cleared out of play. So it's going to stay with Indy. Cleared out. It's going to stay with Indy, though, through the goal scorer, Cherry. The newly introduced Susan Soderstrom gets her first touch. Good job by Wickers to settle things down before turning the ball over. The Minnesota traveling contingent starting to make themselves heard here. We said it a couple times in that first half. A great traveling crowd, considering the distance, considering the last-minute notice of things. Really cool to see that this team so well supported, even on the road in the playoffs. We're going to see a foul going against Minnesota Aurora there. I believe that was Rapp on Cherry. And then we see the first yellow card of the game issued to Catherine Rapp. That's a good time to give out a yellow. I think we'll see a look at it again here. Yeah,
that's a yellow card for me. She
Yeah.
had no chance at the ball, elbow to the back. It's not anything more than a yellow card, though. I certainly would not make an argument for a red on it. I think yellow's right.
Yeah, and that's a great first yellow card to give out. I think so far there's been a lot of tackles, and maybe the only yellow card you'd give was maybe for accumulation of fouls, but I think that's the first cut and dry yellow card that we've seen so far here at Keyworth. Indy 11 gets things back underway. Looking to play out of the back and kind of get back to what they were doing in that first half. They've struggled to cope with the intensity switch up from Minnesota in the second half of action. Rapp tried to maintain the ball, and she's got to kind of be careful when contesting for these balls now that she is on a yellow card. Thrown into the middle of the park. Booted up and away. Wimes was doing well to apply the pressure. All the way back to the goalkeeper, Phillips, who I think, you know, we talk about strikers. We said it a couple times in the first half about Mitchell wanting those chances back. You got to get the sense that Kathleen Phillips wants that chance to save that free kick back, because to get beat at the near post like that, she'll expect better of herself on that one. Indy 11 trying to play out of danger with a couple clever dribbles, but unable to fully do so. Referee has a decision to make here. It's going to stay as a goal kick. Should be Taylor Kane. Kane, you imagine this one's just going to be punted forward the way she's urging her team into the midfield. Header won there by Ella Rogers. Indy 11's been really, their midfield unit has been really impressive in this game. Not so much the attacking or defensive midfield, but literally like the center of the pitch midfielders I think have been great so far for Indy 11 and a huge part of their success. Indy 11 now looking to score a goal for the first time in about 73 minutes. Of course, they scored only 3 minutes into this match. Left-footed ball is going to be played into the area, but cut out by Donnelly.
It does feel like the run of play has shifted yet again after those substitutions. They've gone a long way to stabilize the game for Indy.
Indy 11 now, edge of the area. The right-footed strike comes in on that occasion. It was Mitchell, but just unable to beat the traffic and get the shot through the box. But it'll stay with Indy 11. This side, a throw-in on the near side. Cleared away by Minnesota. And you start to wonder, with that in mind, at what point, is Colette Montgomery going to go to her bench and make some subs to try to kind of win the seesaw of this second half back in her favor?
I don't see any activity on the Aurora bench just yet.
And they have depth, right? You don't get to this point without depth and a quality roster. So they're going to have players that can come out and make a difference. It's just about when you decide to play those players.
Players who are out there certainly still seem like they've got legs underneath them. They're still pressing pretty heavily.
That one's going to come in. It was sort of a disguised run from deep there by Soderstrom. Good job by Minnesota in the midfield. Duong now looking to break play forward. Wimes up with Rapp here. Rapp cuts it back onto her left foot. Rapp goes for the strike. It's going to go out for a Minnesota Aurora corner. Great job there to maintain possession from the Aurora. Taking their time on setting up this corner, folks. Great job to cut that one onto her left before having the shot. It's deflected, and that gets us to where we currently are with a set-piece opportunity again. Right for the ball, played into the area. It's up and over everybody. Wickers was at that far post, just unable to head it back into the mixer. And it'll stay with Minnesota on this end of the pitch. Wimes up. Unable to fully corral that one. A right-footed ball comes back into the area. Rapp was up for it, but not fully convinced. Minnesota now a great ball back out wide. Right-footed ball into the mixer. Wynn was able to escape the defender at the far post, but the ball wasn't where it needed to be, and it goes out for an Indy 11 goal kick. So again, another shot across the bow there for Indy 11. We saw them kind of grow into the game after the subs, begin to assert themselves once again. But Minnesota showing how dangerous they can be with this 11 they have on the field.
Well, Minnesota, you can see why they're not going to the bench just yet. We are at this point starting to stare down the barrel of extra soccer. And they're still generating opportunities. The players who are out there are still have the legs to press pretty heavily.
Great touch by Wynn, looking to play in Duong on this near side. Cut out by Soderstrom. but I believe it's going to be staying with Minnesota deep in Indy 11's half as we creep up on the 80th minute mark here from Keyworth Stadium in the first of 2 USL Central Conference semifinals today. It's going to be a goal kick to Indy 11 and Kathleen Phillips. Yeah, I really don't even see any Aurora players warming up yet for Colette Montgomery. So interested to see when we will see some of those. You'd have to imagine. I wonder if that's a thing of, both coaches keeping an eye on the fact that they could play on Sunday as well, or if it's just get through this game and then we'll figure that out when we have to figure that out.
I think at this point, it's whatever you can do to advance to the next round, and you'll figure out the next round when you do get there.
You have all day Saturday to figure it out. Donnelly now playing it back to Kane. Appreciate everyone tuning in on the Detroit City FC YouTube channel, as well as Sports Engine Play. Of course, I've been Jarrett Mackey alongside Sean Grogan. Delighted to bring you both of today's USL W League Conference semifinals. That one's turned over. Played forward down the line. Wynn now tried to settle that one, unable to do so. Took a skip off of the turf. We're being punted forward. It's going to bounce out of play for an Aurora throw in. Playoff soccer, there's nothing like it. Win, advance, lose, go home. It's awesome. Good sneaky ball there by Rapp, just unable to connect to it. It was right to Derry. Duong now gets onto this one, has numbers up with her. Plays in Rapp, but the offside flag was always going up on that one. It was a good run by Rapp, just maybe could have held it a little bit longer with the space that she was in on this near side.
Nice coordinated step up by the Indy defense to catch her.
But I will say Minnesota is married to this 4-3-3. It's such a structured both in and out of possession of 4-3-3 that you kind of have to admire it because of how evident it is, at least from up here in the press box. And it's a fluid 4-3-3 in the attack. Like we mentioned in the first half, we saw Wimes going from striker to left winger to right winger. We've seen Wynn kind of shift between the lines as well. So all these players have the qualities to play anywhere across that front three. Really impressive. But Indy 11, you have some chances. They're going to play it back into the air. That one's going to come in. It's into the back of the net. That could be the match winner from Mitchell. She had 2 chances in the first half, and she buries this one in the 82nd minute. 2-1 Indy 11, courtesy of Natalie Mitchell.
So get another look at it.
Oh, that's a devious touch inside by Addison Chester. The ball was perfect. It was a great run by across the face of goal by Mitchell, and it's 2-1 at Keyworth.
Credit to the Indy players off the ball. There were 3 of them making runs around the penalty spot, so she had options and picked out the right one.
And, we saw some intensity from Minnesota, but now it's do or die for these Minnesota Aurora players in these next 8 minutes plus stoppage time. And we talked about, Mitchell wanting those chances back earlier in the match. If this game ends 2-1, she'll never think of those chances ever again. And that shows the confidence that she has and has from her teammates to still make those runs and be in a position to be dangerous despite missing 2 incredible chances early on in the match. Clearly those are in the rear view when the ball falls to her inside, 10 yards inside of the Minnesota penalty area. It's Indy 11 not content with 2, looking to add a third here. That one's going to come across, but it cleared out. It's going to stay with Indy 11. No rush from any of their players to take it.
Chances have been few and far between for Indy in this second half, but that was one of the better chances of the half they managed to generate for themselves. And sometimes all it takes is one.
And this second half, Minnesota kind of came out of the gates and was really, pressing on the front foot, playing aggressively. And then Indy kind of took back some control after making 2 subs. Then Minnesota had it back, and then Indy goes up and scores. And still, despite being 2-1 and time taken away, I'm still not seeing much action on the Minnesota Aurora bench. That's interesting to see. We'll see a foul called against Duong there, which is not what her team needs right now, because Indy's going to just more seconds off the clock that Indy's able to take off. Indy 11, of course, last year's national USL League champions, so we knew their quality coming into this match. Out of the Valley Division. Kings Hammer, Racing Louisville, St. Charles, a lot of teams in that one that could have given them trouble throughout the season, and they were able to make it out, win the division, and advance on into the playoffs, for the third consecutive season. Of course, a member formerly of the division that Detroit City FC was in, the first year in the USL League. That one's going to be out for a... Ooh, I thought that would have been a corner, but it took the final touch off the Indy 11 player. It'll be a goal kick. Referee making some sort of... I think she wanted just the ball to get to the goalkeeper as soon as possible. We'll see it again here, the physical battle on that far side between Donnelly and Jacobman, the substitute for Indy 11. Played forward again, and to Indy 11's credit, since going 2-1 up, they haven't dropped deep. They haven't looked to defend first. They're still breaking forward and looking to do what they did to get them the lead in the first place.
Potentially they realized earlier.
Rapp now could find the equalizer. We'll see the tackle, and the penalty is given. So Minnesota now, in the 86th minute, could equalize this match from the penalty spot. It was Rapp that went down after dribbling into the area. The foul was called as the play stopped, as Rapp, I believe, is going to receive some treatment here.
My first reaction seeing it live was that was the correct call.
We'll see it again here.
Look to check for sure.
Yeah, I think so. I think I think she goes in for the tackle right on the edge of the penalty area. By the time the contact was made and everything happened, you're inside of the penalty area, and you're sending your opponent to the spot. So a moment of concern here for Minnesota Aurora as play is paused, and while this will be used as a hydration break for the sides, it'll also be used as a coaching break for both halves to say, listen, if you're Indy, I think you have to assume it might be 2-2 here in a second, and same for Minnesota, although you don't want to put too much pressure on whoever's taking it. And this will be a important coaching opportunity as the crowd at Keyworth here rises to their feet to see, I believe that's Rapp, get up on her own power and try to walk this one off. Seems to be moving her shoulder seems to be the cause of issue here. But good to see her up on her feet. So a huge moment here for Kathleen Phillips, equally as big moment for whoever Minnesota Aurora deputizes to take this penalty. Literally both teams' season, specifically Minnesota's season, on the line with this spot kick. Looks like it'll be Wickers that's going to be taking this one. The captain of Minnesota Aurora, chosen for this big moment here, the biggest moment of the season for the Aurora, as Kathleen Phillips gets into position on her line to try to keep Indy 11 ahead. Final checks from the referee. Wickers versus Phillips. Wickers steps up. The right-footed strike comes in. It's saved by Phillips. Kathleen Phillips keeps Indy 11 ahead here in the 88th minute. And for how that first goal was conceded, that'll do her a world of good confidence-wise. And right now, Kathleen Phillips is the hero for Indy 11 as Minnesota's season hangs in the balance. It's going to be a quick, we're going to stop this one for some substitutes. Raps gets put back into the play, so good to see her, well enough to continue on. See it again here, a right-footed strike, a great job by Kathleen Phillips to get some legs on it.
She almost dove past the ball there, but she was able to drag her leg just enough to get something on it.
A lot of it's interesting to me when you see keepers take penalties in games and in shootouts. Carlos Saldana did so for Detroit City FC in May against the Houston Dynamo. They kind of know that area. It's sort of known what area is awkward for the goalkeeper, and it's about 1.5 foot to the left or right, because if you dive, you might go over the ball, you might go under the ball, and that's a great placement, to be fair, by Wickers, but a great save by Phillips. And Phillips is going to take a touch onto this one before collecting it. Some valuable seconds off the clock, and the Minnesota Aurora players are going to be wanting this one to be happening quickly as we creep up on second half stoppage time here from Keyworth Stadium. And Minnesota Aurora, they did enough to create the chance to get the second goal, but they'll need to do it once again, and this time put it in the back of the net if they want anything from this one, if they want their season to continue into Sunday. Played forward. It's going to stay with Minnesota, who got to throw everything forward here if they want something out of this match. We saw them play direct at times in the first half to not much success. It'll have to be successful here. Great stand by the Indy back line on that occasion. Grace Bear. Indy 11 now has some space up the other end as Minnesota's throwing everyone forward. We're into 4 minutes of stoppage time here in the second half. Indy 11 wins a deep free kick, but they're going to take their time with this one, understandably so. They've earned the right to do that. Thrown down the line and taken to the corner by Indy 11. No surprise there. Cut back inside, though. Kept alive by Indy 11. All the way across. That one's going to come in again. Another scuffed shot. We've seen that on a few occasions from both sides now. Ella Rogers that time. And the goal scorer, Natalie Mitchell, looked to turn a sister on that occasion. Wynn does well to win the header. She needed to. Good job there by the newly substituted Tess Wirtz. Wirtz is going to play it into some space forward. The left-footed shot's going to come in and calmly into the hands of Kathleen Phillips, who's urging her team forward, but again, going to be in no rush to take this goal kick. Honestly, I just take the yellow card, respectfully, if you're the goalkeeper. Indy 11 now looking to do some defending as Minnesota Aurora looks to put everything they can forward, or else they're going home a couple days early.
Oh.
Referee has the flag up.
Believe that was a throw taken from on the field.
There's two lines, yeah.
The one line has been greened out.
And
it is the line that is closer to us that is the line we are using for today's game.
And I will say the Detroit City FC grounds crew, namely Kevin Bremer, does a great job painting that line green every single match day to try to make it look a little bit less blended in than it does, but the sun's not helping on this occasion.
It does look more green in person than it does on the broadcast as I'm looking at the screen.
Mitchell now just has her back to goal. Looks like we're playing for the corner and taking some valuable seconds off of the clock. Mitchell able to keep this one in on the far side, like these valuable seconds coming off of the clock. It looks like it'll be a goal kick. Oh, the decision has been changed after a slight discussion with the line judge. It will be a corner for Indy 11. The referee takes a look at her watch. There can't be much stoppage time left, but this corner from Indy 11 is going to be invaluable. Just a physical battle there, and even the Aurora players, obviously a little bit biased, but they thought that was going to be a goal kick as well.
Looks like it'll be a short corner kick, so we're going to see more of the same as what we just saw.
Probably the shortest corner kick we've seen all season here at Keyworth. Aurora players, looking to get about 5 to 10 yards right there on the throw-in, but the referee did a good job to say, hey, let's be real about this. Blasted forward then by Indy 11, but out of play. It'll stay with Minnesota, who have to throw everything forward here as there can't be much stoppage time remaining. Going to come back to Kane. Kane facing a little bit of pressure. Great job by her to see off the pressure. On that occasion, it was applied by Jacobin. Sort of a scuffed clearance there, but it'll stay with Minnesota in a deep position. We're seeing the fullback sprint forward, the center back sprint forward. It's now or never for the Aurora.
Here comes the goalkeeper also.
All the way across. It's going to stay. Donnelly now up from the defender position. Eventually cleared away by Indy 11. Referee, final look at the whistle, and there it goes. Indy 11 leaves it late, battles through the equalizer, gets the second goal, and they're on to Sunday's Central Conference Final here from Keyworth Stadium. It's Indy 11 2, Minnesota Aurora 1. Sean, what did we see over the course of 90 minutes, and why does Indy deserve to move on?
Well, we saw a bunch of chances on both ends. Either team probably could have advanced out of that game, but Indy was just a little more clinical in the final moments, and really the big penalty save was probably the moment of the game and the reason why they are advancing to the next round.
So Indy 11 through, of course, last year's national champions. Last year they also knocked out Minnesota Aurora. So if you're a Minnesota Aurora fan, you're going to be kind of frustrated seeing that team in red down from Indianapolis. It was a huge penalty save by Kathleen Phillips, definitely the hero of today's semifinal. We'll see it again here, the moment that decided this match. It was a great save. It was a great save. And the way she conceded that first goal, she needed that one for her confidence, and a great job to get it done. 2-1 Indy. This one ends, and they're moving on to face the winner of the next Central Conference semifinal between Detroit City FC and River Light FC. I have been Jarrett Mackey alongside Sean Grogan. Thank you guys so much for joining us in today's first of two Central Conference semifinals. If you're watching on YouTube, don't go anywhere. You're watching on Sports Nation Play, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back in a little bit, about an hour, for Detroit City FC versus River Light FC. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll catch you in the next one. Peace out.
Detroit City FC versus River Light FC. Coming up at 7 p.m. Stick around here for the next playoff match tonight.
Sorry, we're fixing some stuff. What's up? Oh, okay. How's that? Get a box, get a pizza box real quick and tape it to the sides and you're probably good to go.
Well, that sun is about to go behind
The trees, yeah.
so I'll be good. How much was this?
$200. eBay. Only problem about them is bad is they don't make an AC adapter for that. So you gotta buy a Sony MP battery. That battery, like I used the battery last game where I gave Chris that to see, because he couldn't see in that piece of shit. It was overcast. And like, I had him change batteries during the half. And today when I put them on the charger, make sure it's fully charged, they were like 85%. So, I mean, we can do a whole game. And not just recharge, we can do a whole game. Sony MP batteries are really good. But that is a really good unit. They make a 701 that's even better than that. It's like 7-inch, really nice. But
Same company?
Same company, yeah. But they're like, it's been discontinued. Everybody's snatching them up. Nobody wants to buy the new ones.
The 70? Like, what's wrong with the new ones?
They make them different now. They like to add shit to them we don't need. You know? Yeah, you have to tell me when I'm too hot. I can kind of see in this monitor, but you have to tell me. Okay, thanks. And you know what? We're going to do a color shift if we're lucky. We can get through this game without having to do a re-white balance on both cameras because the sun goes out at 9:17 today. So we might get lucky, but if not, we'll call it. It starts to look a little... Oh, and by the way, the left side of the pitch, if you're looking at the pitch, the lights are redder than the right side of the pitch. You'll see it when it starts to get darker. You'll be like, what the hell? Oh, no, we're good.
Clubhouse is home to all Detroit City FC
Yeah, you
watch
look offline.
parties.
You
Join
can
us
find on
anytime.
eBay.
Bruce is on the road for some match
$100 to $1,000, just by switches.
Nobody wanted that. It didn't sell. It was for DSLRs. Everybody went with Atomos because it's a recorder, and I don't need it half the time. So I'll put that on my cameras just to double check color and stuff. Even though I know how my camera reads. But yeah, it's crazy. They just like make shit. Oh, we gotta make it better because it's older. Dude, just like do a firmware upgrade and just keep making it.
Select the
Shit
official
works.
matchball supplier that does
See, we got false colors. That means got everything. That has more than this.
Select-sport.com for the latest Select product specials and more. Select, the player's choice.
I just turned it on yesterday, and today I was like,
Is it
yeah.
touchscreen?
Huh?
Is it touchscreen?
I think that's a little more accurate than this. The colors in here are a little warmer, but I know this is calibrated. You got the water. I think the 701 might be SDI too.
Be sure to check out the Detroit City FC Club Shop in Capital Park in downtown Detroit. Get exclusive merch, free match tickets, and more. Visit DeadCityFC.com to learn more.